Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my investing series, where I have been putting $150 a week into the CS2 market. You know, we missed a couple weeks, but we're back, and a lot of things have been happening in the CS2 market. The market cap is almost completely recovered. We had a high of, what was that, 6 billion? We're at 5.66 billion. Granted, a lot of these numbers and a lot of these tracking sites are really messed up as of now, and you have to take all of these numbers with a grain of salt. You know, this might not be as high as the site claims it is. As well, the case tracker numbers have been messed up in the past, and I'm not sure how accurate they are as of now, but they're still a very good reference for total price, case unboxing numbers. It's a good cue. But overall, the CS2 market took a massive fall, $3.5 billion market cap at the very bottom. People thought the market was going to die, CS2 investing is dead forever, the worst update ever happened, and of course I made my video about it, my 2 cents, you know, looking at some of the statistics and how I think that this new update will affect the market, and my answer was that it's not really going to have that much of an effect. It's statistically not that impactful to the overall supply of golds. Of course, there are exceptions. Some golds have had a big spike in supply. Something like the new age gloves, the ones that are in the Revolution and the clutch case, you know, those definitely took a massive hit just because those gloves are in so many cases. Things like, I don't know, the Broken Fang case, which also has gloves, which are in multiple cases, I believe. That case took a big hit, I think down under $7, which had highs of, you know, $12, $13 at one point. So a lot of those cases have taken a big hit. You know, there are a lot of items that are down substantially right now, especially items that we have in our own portfolio. Which, yeah, our portfolio isn't down horribly. I mean, even back earlier, before this whole update, we had an even bigger loss in profit from $1,700 down to $1,330, and then we ended up recovering. This was the peak of our portfolio at $1,960, and then down to about $1,700, and we've been flatlined since the retake update. But overall, we aren't negative in our portfolio, so that is good. But there are a lot of items in our portfolio that are down substantially. You know, the glove case kind of just keeping us afloat. The glove case has done incredible things as of recently, like tripling in price since the retake update. And I actually took that chance to cash out a lot of my glove cases. I sold I don't know, about 100 of them at $28 a piece, some at like $25, but yeah, I cashed out on some of my glove cases. I think that the price graph on the glove case is a bit ridiculous, sitting a little bit under $25 right now, but something this vertical, I just think there's no chance that it stays this high, and I think it'll come down substantially within the next few weeks. Maybe not. Maybe it keeps getting propped up by, you know, investors and pumpers, whatever you want to call them, Chinese people. But I think this does have a really good chance to come back down, and I think it will stabilize around like $16 to $20. So I don't think it's gonna drop drastically. Like, I don't think we're gonna be back to $12 anytime soon. I think this is gonna be, you know, a $15 to $20 case, in my opinion. So I'm thinking I might buy back in, but as well, I do want to take some profits. I am very happy with the amount of profit that I've made off the glove case. You know, I bought most of these around $4 a piece a couple years ago. So you never lose until you sell. You never profit until you sell. And I took this as my opportunity to take some profit. I still have a few glove cases, holding onto them just in case, but I did sell a big portion of my glove cases. What I should have done was sell my Gamma 2 cases. Those spiked up like crazy, and they're right back to where they were. So this does show more strength in the glove case because they haven't immediately just crashed right back down like the Gamma 2 case did. Looking at the Gamma 2 case, it spiked up to, I think they're selling over $6 at one point here. And there was a similar spike way back here. My best guess for these kind of spikes is that a big investor, dumping, $10,000 or more can very easily shift the market like this because, there aren't actually that many listings on the market at one time for these cases. So someone making a substantial investment can make the graph look like this. So I do regret not cashing these out too. But, we are in this for the long term. And I do think that ultimately that is the best way to be investing, especially while investing into CS2. The CS2 market is inherently risky. I've been trying to stress that from the beginning, that this is a risky market to be in, even though there are many, many success stories out there, people telling you to invest. Just everybody saying that this is the best market ever to be in. It's beating the S&P 500. All of that, it is a lot riskier than investing into stocks or precious metals or whatever. So you do need to take that into mind when you are making CS2 investments. It's a very volatile market, and you can lose money if you're not careful. A lot of people investing, on the ride up to the $6 billion market cap, investing at new higher and higher peaks. It's risky. It's a risky thing to do. And a lot of people got burnt really bad, especially people that were invested into golds. And a lot of cases are down a lot. That's why I do think it is pretty important to diversify your portfolio. Maybe the diversifications did hurt me in some ways, especially when looking at our specific portfolio. So a lot of people would say that this is an over-diversified portfolio, which I can agree with to some extent. I do over-invest or, over-diversify for the sake of content, to look at, all sorts of different things and decide what you want in your own portfolio. So sometimes it is better to specify what you are investing into. Find the things that you believe in the most and invest into those. But yeah, looking at a lot of these investments, a lot of them are not doing too hot. Some of our best ones being these cases here and some Armory items. Surprisingly, the Sport and Field collection, which is still in the Armory, which I think these might get taken out very soon, by February, maybe by the latest June. I think that these will be coming out soon, along with the Overpass collection and that sticker collection, the Elemental Crafts, and also some of those charms gotta go soon, especially the original ones. Those definitely will be taken out in the next Armory rotation. So that is a potential thing to look into, but I'm not really too much of a fan on the original charms. Maybe the Howl one does well over time, but they're just not my favorite in general. And I think a lot of people that will be investing into charms will be looking to make a quick buck as they get, discontinued from the Armory. So don't invest into those charms the second they get removed from the Armory. If you want to invest into something like that, prepare ahead of time and invest into them now. I think in the long term that all of these prices will recover and surpass where they were before, especially some of these items that we've talked about in previous videos, like I forget the name of the sticker collection. These stickers, the Fly High, From the Deep, It's one of the reasons why someone like a day trader, I think the numbers like something crazy like 90% of day traders fail. Because it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to predict markets. Some markets are more predictable than others, but someone who claims they know everything and can predict the market perfectly is either ignorant or lying. I think that all of these markets are inherently risky and volatile, and you should be making your investments with lots of research and with a long-term goal in mind. So, out of all my investments in CS2 over the past couple months, I never sold anything at the top, and I never sold anything at the bottom, and it's going to kind of level out, and I'm holding for the long term. Somewhere down the line, maybe a year or two, I start selling some stuff, with the exception being those glove cases that I sold just because they peaked so high. One of the specific long-term holds I want to talk about is the character craft stickers. I think that nothing really has changed about these stickers, especially from when we were talking about them, a couple months ago. Things like from the deep and the fly high, the hypnotize hollow, the ribbon tide down 34%. Even something like the rainbow route from the elemental craft, which could get taken out of the armory soon. I think all of these are still fantastic investments and are even better investments now. Especially some of these that have gone down so much, like the fly high. So I think that these are fantastic long-term investments. They were good back then, and I think they're even better now. And speaking of armory items, people are looking at new opportunities in the armory. People are talking about the charms getting removed from the armory and the sport and field collection, the elemental craft stickers. Me personally, I'm going to be looking back to something that has already been discontinued out of the armory, like the character craft stickers that are going to keep going down in supply, and I think these are going to keep going up in price over time, and they've already been discontinued for a couple months now, so I think they're a bit ahead of something like, the elemental craft stickers. I would much rather be investing into something like this that's already been discontinued than trying to find those short-term gains by selling quickly. There is something to be said for, selling a couple days after they are removed out of the armory. A lot of people are going to be doing that, and there is money to be made there. But overall, when you're making investments, try to have a long-term goal in mind, as well diversify your investments. Don't put all your money that you have in the world into CS2. It's very risky. If you need to pay rent next week or pay groceries, don't invest money that you may need. Invest money that you feel safe keeping into a market for a long term or a long amount of time. Something that you won't be forced to quick sell because it went down in price and you need that money. Only invest money that you are willing to lose, especially into something like CS2, which you can lose money very easily. You can also gain money very easily. So it's that double-edged sword. Me personally, I'm heavily diversified. All my money isn't into Counter-Strike, which is why I'm very comfortable just sitting on these losses and, keeping a calm, cool, collected, headspace. And not worrying about this massive market crash where we went down to $3.5 billion market cap. It's really no sweat off my back because I'm in it for the long term. I'm going to be holding everything in my inventory for the next few years to come, so it really didn't affect me in any way, shape, or form, especially when I have other investments that are doing fantastic. Like, I'm invested heavily into silver. I bought, 4 kilos or something at the beginning of the year, around in April. And silver is up to around $62 an ounce right now. So diversify, hold for the long term, make smart investments. Real quick, I do want to pivot back to talking about cases and specifically the glove case. Glove case is keeping a lot of its, monthly unboxing numbers, even with price surges. Of course, this website hasn't completely updated since this price spike is, more recent. But I think that these items in the glove case and the glove case itself is a very safe long-term investment. I did sell, of course, but I think it's going to come down marginally, maybe come down to here. And I think you are safe to hold this case, even at $25 cash price. It might seem like it's a crazy high price, but I think it is safe to hold something like this for the long term. Just because of the gloves that are in this case, they're just so extraordinary. You know, the hedge mazes, the Pandora's box, superconductors, arids, crimson kimonos, emerald webs. I mean, some of the best gloves in the game are in this case, and they are extremely limited. If I'm correct, it's around 7,000 to 8,000 per glove in existence, or at least registered on FloatDB. So these are very, very limited gloves with pretty much unlimited demand. So I think these gloves are going to keep going up and up and up in price over time. All these gloves also seem to be very, very popular in China. If you look on the price graphs at buff.163, you'll see that the prices are almost exactly the same as American prices, as FloatDB prices, which is almost unprecedented throughout the history of Counter-Strike. The Chinese prices have always been lower than American prices, and it's only up until recently that Chinese prices are actually catching up, if not the same, as American prices. And for something like, spearmint gloves, Pandora's box gloves, arids that are being bought up at such a high rate and are so extremely rare, I think these are amazing investments. And I would always consider buying something from these collections, especially because it's only in the glove case, in the Hydra case. And the Hydra case is so insanely rare, it's not really being unboxed like that. So the glove case is really the only spot that you can get these from. And then with the new trade-up update, that makes the reds even more desirable. So I don't think it's a bad idea to invest into the reds either. I think all of these skins, the case, the gloves, they're all very, very good investments. Which is why I'm still not selling the spearmint gloves that I bought all the way down at the bottom. I bought even lower than this. So I've made thousands of dollars in profit, and I'm still not selling because I think this has the potential to go even higher and higher and higher. So a little bit under on my estimate, around 8,000 of these in existence. So let's say 7,000 to 10,000 in existence per pair. So extremely, extremely rare gloves, which of course again is why I think it is very safe to open, hold items from the glove case itself. All very, very good investments. And as well, I don't have the data with me, on hand, but the amount of factory new gloves being created for each of these is insanely, insanely low. It's like a handful of gloves per glove. And overall, maybe a couple hundred pairs added. So the supply increase is very negligible, and I don't think is affecting the price, which is apparent due to the price spiking back almost to the exact same spot it was pre-update. To be honest, I was also very wary and scared of investing into these reds when they were being pumped up. They hit 200 and then 280 and 300, and I was, very skeptical of investing into these, but, I should have known that these would have gone up because I also believed that the gloves were going to go up. So that was a little bit of a slip of mind on my part, but I think that these are going to hold their value very, very well. It is possible that they'll take a dip, but I think these will keep going up in price along with the gloves and the rest of the items in the case. So if you're wondering if it's safe to hold these, I would say that is very safe to hold some of these items. So again, a lot of these cases have suffered a lot from this update. Cases that share golds with many other cases with undesirable golds, which is why the gallery case has been down, but is still one of my favorite investments. I'm not selling my gallery cases anytime soon. I haven't been buying any either. Overall, I haven't really been that interested in the CS2 market recently, so I haven't been making investments at all recently. Besides, the gloves and a couple other things that I bought. But yeah, and I haven't done as much research into the specific cases, but we'll get back to where I need to be in, my knowledge department. But yeah, overall cases with bad golds and golds that are shared in cases have gone down substantially in price. And the cases that have stayed resilient are cases with very desirable golds. Something like the Gamma 2 case, which spiked up to $6, glove case, all those kinds of cases have held their price very, very well, which I think presents an opportunity to invest into these cases that are still very strong post-update, that were strong pre-update. I do have big positions in Gamma and Spectrum, and I will be strengthening those positions. I will as well try to take advantage of a lot of these dips. Something like the Broken Fang case, I might be buying some of these because they're so cheap now, around $6. I think that's a good buy. Maybe not for the average investor, I don't know. Also, it does seem like they're starting to phase out cases. I mean, they haven't added a new active duty case yet. Usually there's always 5 in the rotation. Since they removed the fracture case, they haven't added a new case. The only thing that has taken its place, sort of, is the fever case, which is in the Armory. I have no idea when they'll be removing this case, but it might be soon. It might be a couple years still. Even then, I think it'll be a great investment. It's just about when it'll get removed. But if you can get these near the purchase price, with stars, which is around 80 cents, if you can even find them under 80 cents, I don't think that's possible, but maybe. I think the fever case in the long term is going to be a great investment. But again, this is going to be an extremely long-term investment. It's going to be a couple years, 3 years maybe. But holding this and keeping it stagnant for a while, and then eventually it'll have a price spike, I think it's worth holding on to. But another investment coming up that could be a really good opportunity is the recoil case. I've said that the CS2 market is hard to predict, and you shouldn't try to predict anything. But this does seem like a pattern here. Spikes up, then down, and up, and down, and up. And now we're in a down point. So I think that this is a pretty good time to buy the recoil case. And this is what I'm going to be investing a lot of our money into today, into the recoil case. I think this is a good opportunity. It's going to get removed soon-ish. Maybe within, at least within the next year, this will get removed and put into the rare drop pool. So I think this has room to spike up, especially being the cheapest case in the game. There's always demand for the cheapest case in the game. I think this is a very, very, very safe investment, and I will be investing into these at 30 cents a piece. I think that's a great deal. It also has more unboxing numbers than the fracture case, which is, very recently taken out of the drop pool. It is sitting at 63 cents compared to 33 cents. So this has already had some appreciation. There was a point when this was in the active drop pool. This was also a 30-cent case. So I think there's a lot of potential here with the recoil case. I don't have anything against making investments into the Armory collection. I just think, personally, I would rather be putting money into the character craft stickers right now. But elemental craft stickers can be great. And some of these charms, missing link charms, have potential. Personally, I'm not going to be investing into these. But still, the fillers from these collections do have a lot of potential. Sport and Field, Overpass. I'm not really a fan of the Overpass collection just because the only 2 items that have, any demand really are the Zeus and the Be the Monster. I think these skins are kind of ugly, in my subjective opinion. So I won't be investing into this. I do have a Dragon Snore. I think this is a good, cool skin. But from the train, I think there's some underrated ones here. A lot of these have already appreciated massively. Like the Hellish and the Whiteout, especially in Factory New. I think these have tripled in price in the past couple months. This also is kind of far out from being removed. These 2 will definitely be removed before the train collection. The train collection is unpopular. People don't really like the long dong, but I think definitely these two will be removed first. But the train collection also, I don't think will last very long in the Armory just because of how unpopular it is. I think, hopefully we'll get cash into the pool, and then we'll get a cash collection, and then some other kind of sport and field-esque collection. But I think all of these skins are very, very good investments. The Crimson Foil being one of my favorites, the Xeno being another favorite, and then from the light blues, it doesn't really matter, but I invested into the Wildwood. But this skin already was at over $1 at one point. Around here. Yeah, around in July. They were selling for over $1. And sat around 70 cents for a while, 50 cents. And now we're down to 42 cents, 30 cents. So I think this has a lot of room to grow, and it has grown in the past. It's actually down a lot from some points in the past, 6 months. So I think that the light blues and some of the, blues and purples from the Sport and Field collection and the Overpass collection have a lot of potential. Another example is the Desert Eagle Tilted. This is actually one of the better underrated skins from the Overpass collection, which I think will do very well. People seem to really like this skin. So we can find them for under $3, but sitting around $3, $2.80. And at points we were over $5 for a lot of points. There are many times where we're sitting over $5. Some sold here for $15. Getting little price spikes, I guess, when people make big investments into the skin. $8, $10. So yeah, these spikes are just people making bigger investments into this skin, I believe. But we had many points where it's over $5, and now we're sitting around, $2.80, under $3. So I think this is also has a lot of potential if you're investing into play skins and fillers and all that kind of stuff. So nothing wrong with investing into the Sport and Field collection and the Overpass collection. I think these have a lot of potential. This is a little bit unrelated, but just talking about some things that have rebounded. The USPS Whiteout, I bought one of these at the dip. I bought it for around $100. I think like 110. But this skin has actually rebounded insanely, rebounded higher than it was at its peak before the market update. Very interesting skin to look at. A lot of these collection skins are rebounding really hard. Things like the Hot Rod and the M4A1S Blue Phosphor. A lot of collection skins that shouldn't have been impacted as much by the update, yet have rebounded very heavily. I think the glove case gloves also fall into that category. Shouldn't have fallen as hard as they did and have rebounded right back to where they were pre-update. So this is just another interesting thing to look at when looking at these skins that have rebounded a lot. But overall, for our investments today, since we have, gotten burnt in the past couple weeks on our investment portfolio, I do want to play it safe, but also try to be opportunistic at the same time, which is why I'm going to go with two investments. I'm going to be investing into the Recoil case. I think it's a fantastic case that is going to be moved to the rare drop pool some point soon. It's the cheapest case in the game, high unboxing numbers, not the best golds, but acceptable golds. So I think the Recoil case is definitely a safe investment that has a lot of high upside potential. Sound like the Wolf of Wall Street right now. But the other collection that I want to be investing into are the Character Craft stickers. A discontinued sticker collection from the Armory. People are looking for items that are going to be discontinued from the Armory soon. I want to be investing into something that's already been discontinued from the Armory and has dropped drastically in price since, some of its peaks. I think there's a lot of potential in things like the Fly High and From the Deep and the Ribbon Tie, which have dropped substantially. So the only reason why these are a little bit more frustrating to buy and sell is because of the pure bulk. 250 cases, which is a lot because you have to put these in the storage units and all of that. So only $75. So to make a significant investment into these cases is a little bit more difficult. It may be worth looking at Steam prices, because if you buy something off the Steam community market, you can put it right into a storage unit. So maybe the prices are more inflated over there. I haven't really looked yet, but 250 cases is still a manageable amount to move in and out of storage units. So which is why I'll still be using CSGO Float. But if you want to make a bigger investment, it might be worth looking at the Steam community market for something like this. But yeah, $75, 250 cases, first investment into the books. So looking at some of the stickers from the Character Craft collection, something like the Fly High, the Quick Peak down 40%, Ribbon Tie down 34%. I think these can be very good deals at the moment, and I think they do have potential to grow in the future, maybe even more potential since they dropped even more. But personally, I'm going to be investing into stickers from the Character Craft collection that didn't take as much of a hit this time, because I think that more importantly than the potential margin is looking at these stickers that have performed well under pressure. Things like the From the Deep sticker and the Flex sticker have done very, very well under pressure. They still have lost a lot of profit from the all-time peak, but they haven't crashed as hard as the other stickers in the collection, which is what's making me more interested in those stickers. If we look at the Ribbon Tie and the Fly High and the Quick Peak, they all have similar graphs to this, peaking very high at almost $1 and kind of dropping off really hard, very, very dropping off, down to around 40 cents, under 40 cents, or under 50 cents. But if we look at something like From the Deep, had not a very big peak, but had a peak, dropped off a bit, but is, starting to creep up. And the most popular sticker in the collection, the Flex, is even rebounding heavily since the drop. A peak of $1.43, crashed, lost 50% of its value, but is still going strong and going right back up. So I'm going to be putting a majority of our money into the Flex. I don't think I've invested into the Flex yet on this channel, just because I always thought it was a little bit too expensive. But it's very often that the most expensive stickers in the collection perform the best, just because they're the most popular and people believe in the price point that they're at. And of course, people are still willing to invest into the sticker even as the price increases. Looking at some of these micro dips, starts to recover, dips down a bit, from 90 cents to down to 75 cents, and then from there just kept rebounding. So I think that the Flex sticker is going to be a very, very strong sticker to be investing in for the long term. Discontinued Armory collection sticker has already, in this short amount of time, proven its resilience as an investment. Completely, I don't know the word. Ignoring the effects of the trade reversal update. Or not the trade reversal update, sorry, I'm all over the place. The gold contract update. And it's right back to around $1. So I'm going to be putting most of the rest of our money, if not all of our money, into the Flex. So 71 of these comes out to $74.71. I decided to go with just the Flex sticker. Again, I said I want to be opportunistic, look for opportunities to make money, but at the same time, I'm a little bit more wary of risk right now, and I think that this is the least risky sticker that you can invest into in this collection. I think it's better than the hollow, the one with the tongue that scrapes into a heart. I think it's better than that sticker. I think this is the single best sticker that you can be investing into in the Character Craft collection. The other ones do have a lot of potential, especially the Ribbon Tie. I think that one's underrated. The Fly High, I think that's underrated. And then, again, the From the Deep is a very highly applied sticker, but also very, very cheap. And that one has also shown a lot of resilience through the crash. So I think From the Deep is also a very, very good option. But this one has already been rebounding very, very well. So I think that this is probably our best option. And I was a little bit foolish to be looking past this in the past. But, looking at our data, looking at the investments that we invested into inside of the collection and comparing them to the flex, I now see that the flex is much better than those. And I do like the flex now better. So I'm going to be putting a lot of our money into the flex sticker. And if I want to invest into the character crafts stickers with my own money, I will be investing into the flex. Maybe I'll put a little bit more money into those other ones I think are a little bit underrated, but from now on the flex is going to be my go-to. So $75 going to the flex. Boom. So guys, there we have it. 250 recoil cases, 75 flex stickers, $150 investment into the CS2 market. I think I do have one more episode, maybe two, that I have to put into our portfolio. So the portfolio is actually a little bit under what it was supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be around more like 2K. But, and I do have to add this one in. But we'll get to it. Yeah, sorry for being a little bit unmotivated with the CS2 content recently. My interest comes and goes very easily, and I haven't really been paying attention to my CS2 investments. I think it's actually pretty unhealthy to be watching your investments on a day-to-day basis, especially when you want to be investing for the long term. You don't want to be looking at all the dips and worrying about whether you're making money or losing money. It's better to just be able to set it and forget it when it comes to investments. And yeah, looking at my investments all the time does stress me out, so I don't really like to do that. But, when you have to make CS2 content, you want to be as informed as possible. It does take a lot of energy to, watch everything. But, I am very interested in the CS2 market still, and I'm going to be keep making videos in the future, and we'll definitely be making one next week. Try to keep the train going strong, and I'm very appreciative for anybody that's watched this far, anybody that's still interested in my videos. We're going to keep pumping out the content very soon, especially with the coming months. New updates are going to be coming out. It's going to be a very interesting time for CS2, especially when the market is recovering as fast as it is right now. I think we have potential to go break the barrier again and go past our previous market cap. Well, that's a little bit ambitious to say, since a lot of knives and gloves are still kind of almost halved in price. But a lot of items are towing the line, carrying on the CS2 market cap. Things like the whiteout and the gloves from the glove case, and all sorts of other skins. But, I think the CS2 market is going to enter a second golden age. This past year, we've, doubled and tripled our money, but I still think we have even more room to grow, especially after that, kind of reset nuclear meltdown that we had of an update with the trade up update. I think we kind of hit the floor on pretty much every single item in the game, and from there we can't really go any lower, in my opinion. I don't think the prices are ever going to go back to that gold update. I think we can only go up from there. That is my humble opinion. Of course, no one is ever right about anything. Make your own informed decisions. And if you don't believe the prices are going to keep going up and the game is going to keep getting stronger, then you should probably get out of your CS2 investments. Don't invest into the CS2 market unless you believe in the fundamentals of the CS2 market. That is all I have to say on that. And I do believe in Valve. I believe in the Steam machine and their monopoly on, PC games. So I'm very comfortable, investing my money with Valve. I guess not directly, but into their product. I don't think they're going to bring back the glove case golds. I don't think they're going to bring back Dragon Lores. All of that silly stuff that people were saying when the update just came out. I think that the CS2 market is going to keep going strong for many, many years to come. And I think they're going to keep dominating the 5v5 competitive space. Part of me also is starting to feel a little bit not sure the word to use, but this format is getting a little bit stale, I guess. This $150 a week investing series. Let me know in the comments if you want me to be making some different content, CS2 related content, or even other investing content. Interested in all sorts of markets. I don't know. I invest into other collectibles, and I invest into precious metals. I like silver and gold and all that kind of stuff. I like stocks, even though I'm a lot less informed on those topics. Especially crypto. I'm not invested into crypto at all because I just don't understand crypto. Not that it can't be a good investment. I think it can be. But yeah, if there's any other ideas that people have for CS2 content for me to make in the future, leave suggestions down below. I will continue doing the investing series just because that's kind of my bread and butter, I guess. That's just what I've been doing. So this will continue, but I am interested to make some new video ideas to keep it fresh and to keep my motivation up. So if anybody has any suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. And as well, I think I'm going to do another giveaway soon, just to keep up, my views and stuff. So look forward to that. We'll be doing a giveaway soon, maybe for Christmas or something. So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next time.